The basics of summarizing. If you look at your second module for EAPP, this is now in relation to how to do the scale of summarizing. Why did I proceed with this discussion? Now that you are in relation to the research project subject, you are now at that point where probably methods have been read from somewhere, or once you're done with the methods, results will come out and more or less you'll be ready to proceed to the discussion section of the IMRAD format. This more or less invites you to do a summarization of whatever it is that you will have read. Next to this lesson is actually a lesson on direct quoting and paraphrasing. But we are going to focus for now with summarizing. I don't know, but probably at least one of you right now is thinking, will Sir Sim ask us to summarize a long text? What is the answer to this, Nathan? Guess what the answer is, Nathan, to that question? Take note, Nathan. I will still meet in business finance after this. Yes, Nathan. What is the answer to that question? The question is, will Sir Sim ask us to make summaries of long narratives? Nathan, be careful with your answer. Yes, no. Nathan, unmute yourself. Everybody's waiting for your answer. Don't worry, Nathan. We will not take it against you. I mean, they will, probably. Nathan, I have 5 of your subjects. I control half of your life for the semester. So Nathan, what's the answer? It's just a yes or no question. What's so difficult with that question?
No naman, sir.
I can't hear you, Nathan. Why did he just laugh? Why did he suddenly laugh?
No, the line, sir.
Nathan, what's your answer?
No na lang, sir.
Waiting room. Put in waiting room.
Vote na lang, sir.
Lex, what is the best answer to that question, Lex?
Maybe, sir.
Yes, no, Lex. Yes, no. Just yes or no.
Maybe, sir, whether pwede yes, pwede no. If unsay,
Waiting room, waiting
if unsay
room.
mas the best, sir. Para
Which
nako.
is what do you think is the best answer there, Lex? There are only 2 options here. Yes, no. Methods.
Um,
Methods. Whew. I spent so much time searching for the methods. Uy. What's the you say the answer, Lex?
ingon sila yes, ingon sila no, sad, sir.
So what's your answer, Lex? Oh, the methods. I really help people looking for literature to support the pots, the choice of the pots, the measurement of the pots. So Lex, what's the answer?
It's okay, guys. At least we have an evidence. No, it's recording.
No, what? What did I do? Nothing. Go, Lex. What's
Um,
the answer?
if unsay mas
Lex,
best
Lex,
para nako.
Lex, Mulagbas yun yung ballpen na ng camera, Lex, yun eh. Just say it, but don't mute yourself. Don't mute yourself.
Yes.
Oh. As requested by Lexinet, there will be long, because Lexinet just said yes. As requested by him, you'll have at least one long narrative, which you will have to summarize. Actually, it's not that long. The ST is actually in that structure. The ST in this lesson will not ask you of what are the formats in summarizing. No, that's not how the ST works. It will not ask you of what are the tips in summarizing. No. The ST is not about what is what are the wrong conceptions about preconceptions about summarizing? No, we will not talk about that. The ST is structured in a manner where you have a narrative, not a long narrative. I assure you it's not a long narrative, but you will have to summarize the narrative. In terms of length, how does a summary look like? Is it as long as the original passage? Majoy?
No, sir.
It's not. Correct. As a summary is called a summary, it is in terms of length, in sheer length alone, it's expected to be shorter. Do we present specifics or so many details in the summary, Troy?
Again, sir.
Do we, Troy, remove your headset? What did I tell you before? No
I think
headset.
it's fine naman, sir.
Ah! Oh, try to say something, Troy. Troy, you say, hi, Joyce.
Hello.
Hi, Joyce. You say hi, Joyce.
Hi. Hi, sir.
What is it, Troy, that you should say? You call someone, Troy, ba? Hi.
Specific
No,
terms
no, 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 no,
should be
no, no,
mentioned in
no,
a
no, 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 no,
summary.
no, 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 no. You say hi,
Hi.
then the name of that person.
Hi, Joyce.
Eh? Majoy, responsorial sum, let our response be. Majoy, no response. A clear proof that she is a heartbreaker. Thank you for just proving me right, Joyce.
Wow, sir, wow, sir.
Thank.
Ba't ako yung...
Just so you'll know, Joyce, I already saw this coming. You just proved me right.
Ako yung kuan, sir. Shouldn't I be the victim?
No, you victimize people. Yes, Troy. In terms of specifics and details. Oh, dinamin mo shike. In terms of details and specifics, Troy, will we find many of them in a summary?
Only important details, sir.
Important ones. Take note. Like for instance, if you have a topic sentence, if you have a thesis statement, you were my writing students when you were in grade 7. So just try to recall these terms. Remember grade 7, you had a writing notebook and whenever I got inside the room, I'll just write a topic on the board. Topic, mode of paragraph development. But look at your skills in writing now. Oh, they didn't change. No, they actually did. They did. Like so much improvement has come. When I came back last time and then saw you create those outputs, I was really impressed. But of course, to those who were not with me when they were in grade 7, they probably can't relate much to this. But because of that writing class, yeah, you were able to really maximize your skills in writing. So let's use those terms, the terms that we had when you were in grade 7. So you have a thesis. Remember the thesis statement? It's that statement that governs the entirety of the text. Let's assume that the text is a lot of paragraphs. So all of these many paragraphs speak of one or reflect one idea, or they contribute to one central message. It's just that the thesis statement is subdivided into topic sentences. So you may not anymore present the many examples for each topic sentence, the discussion on the relevance of each example. Skip that. You can just ask yourself, when you read a long narrative, you ask yourself, what is this text all about? And from there, what are the topic sentences found in every paragraph? So you can create like a single paragraph summary of a composition composed of many paragraphs. So that's how summarizing works. But when we do research, of course, summarizing may have some restrictions. Like it might include some citations. It might involve some correct formatting. Fortunately, this lesson is generally in the basics, the general concept of summarizing. Accordingly, summarizing helps you deepen your understanding of the text. As a proof to this, you're able to put the long narrative into something more concise. You're able to congest that long narrative into a shortened form without compromising the central message of the entire composition. That's the danger when people just blindly summarize. Shortening, they tend to equate shortening the text right away with what a summary should be. Well, of course, in terms of length, a summary is expected to be shorter. But we must not forget that the central message, the integrity of the central message should be maintained. Also, summarizing allows you to learn to identify relevant information or key ideas. It combines details or examples that support main ideas. It concentrates on the gist or main idea and keywords presented in the text. So it also captures key ideas and puts them together clearly and concisely. So a summary tries to also exhibit coherence and unity at the same time. Wrong notions about summary. What is not summarizing? It's not summarizing when you write down everything. I mean, writing down everything is merely transcribing, if not, uh, it's merely a manuscript or a monograph of the original passage. When you write down ideas from the text word for word, that's equivalent to writing everything down. When you write down incoherent and irrelevant ideas, that's not also summarizing. So earlier I said summarizing exercises, coherence, and unity. When you write down a summary that is the same length or is longer than the original text, so the length matters so much with the summary. It is really expected to be shorter than the original text. If it comes out to be longer than the original text, then sorry, you have failed on the task of summarizing.
Mga pila ka percent, sir? Like, for example, 1,000 words ang imong i-summarize.
We cannot really determine there's no quick route on determining the exact percentage on how many words or like what's the percentage of words in a summary as compared to the original text. What we're just reminded of would be get the main idea, and then the topic, if it's the entire text, the entire composition itself, get the main idea, then a supporting topic sentence for that thesis statement. So thesis statement, topic sentence 1 coming from the first paragraph, topic sentence 2 coming from the second paragraph, assuming that there are 3, topic sentence 3 of the third paragraph. Then conclude. So in that manner, you already have 5 sentences, and per definition, it qualifies already as a paragraph. If what you simply wrote is a single sentence representative of the main idea or central message, that cannot count as a paragraph. Unless, of course, yeah, this was a sharing by our dean in the College of Education back when I was in college. Unless, of course, the task demands that you summarize in just a sentence. But of course, generally, that's not how summaries work. According to the sharing of our dean, when he took his doctorate degree in Philippine Normal University, they were given the assignment to read one of the novels of Shakespeare. And then they were told to summarize it in 3 paragraphs. Eventually, they were told to summarize it in 2 paragraphs. In 1 paragraph, then lastly in a single sentence. Because that's the requirement. But generally speaking, that's not what we would demand from you in the making of a summary. When you do your researches, when you do research works, and when you read from a long narrative of a research paper, and when you are going to make use of that research and summarize everything, so it's expected that you really create a paragraph for research works. You have there the several guidelines in summarizing. You clarify your purpose before you read. You read the text and you should understand the meaning. One common danger in summarizing is sometimes the first sentence is just copied as well as the last sentence. Or when there is an obviously stated topic sentence, that topic sentence is just being copied verbatimly. A verbatim practice for a summary is not it will not lead to a good summary. If you have understood the text so well, you can translate that text into your own words, not compromising the thought. Again, just keeping the central message as it is, but shortening the length of the text. Yes, right. Sorry. Shortening the length of the text, thereby reaching a good summary. Another tip here, another guideline is you select and underline or circle key ideas. You write down all the key ideas and phrases you've identified. You identify connections of key ideas. You list them down, you list them as sentences into a paragraph. So now that you have picked out these key ideas from the text, you try to construct them in sentences. And you combine these sentences into one coherent paragraph. Then you ensure that you do not copy a single sentence from the original text. See, it's a guideline. Do not copy a single sentence from the original text. So like what I said, learn to paraphrase. Learn to put the text into your own words. Translate that text, translate sentences, ideas into your own words. Without compromising, allow me to emphasize this, without compromising the central message. Refrain from adding comments. Stick to what the idea presents. What you are just to give is an idea, a summarized, a shortened form of the original text. Your ideas do not matter here. Your claims do not count. Your opinions are useless because the idea in the summary comes from the original passage. Even if it reaches that point that the original passage is against what you believe in, do not inflect that summary with anything that comes from an opinion or that's personalized.
Pero can you add, sir?
What do you mean by add?
Add ka ng idea sa
If it's an
certain
idea,
opinions.
if it's an idea, Lex, that's not found in the original passage, you can't. When we do a summary, we are limited to the ideas found in the original passage. Those are the only ones that we can incorporate in the summary. Opinionated statements or sentiments have no room in this kind of output. You edit the draft of your summary. Of course, editing is but always a part of the writing process. Revisions and revisions are always there. Remember, to my grade 7 students, remember, I made you revise in your writing notebooks, I made you revise your works at least once or twice. Because just because we have created a summary doesn't mean that it's already complete or correct. It's still open for editing and revision. In fact, the purpose of the editing and the revision is to arrive at a better form of the text, a better summary or a better version, a shortened version of the original passage. Part of the editing of the draft would be editing for content, editing for mechanics and grammar, especially when the English language is used. You compare your output with the original text to ensure accuracy. So do this, spend the time to put your work beside the original text, the original passage. Because if there's an idea in your summary that's not found in the original passage, you failed. But what you should do is to edit. What you should do is to revise. Always keep that in mind. The idea that I should create in my summary is limited to what the original text presents. That's just it. Record the details of the original source and you format your summary properly. Of course, if the format is provided, like it should be in paragraph form, then there should be a particular format that you are to follow. Formats in summarizing. So here, You have an example of 3 summaries, each summary belonging to a particular format. The first one is the idea heading format. These are the formats that are highly welcomed when you do research. What makes them really valuable, what makes these formats really valuable in research? There are citations available. There are citations that recognize the authority or original owners of these claims or ideas. The idea heading format begins with the idea, the main thought or the central message. The author heading format begins with the names connected by an appropriate reporting verb. So you have the name of the person first, then what comes is the idea, summarized form of that idea. So you have here an example, Kabilan and Abidin 2010 shows. So you have the names of Kabilan and Abidin. They are the authors. Please recognize that the year there is 2010. So you have a complete citation. What comes after the year 2010 is the verb shows. That's a reporting verb. What comes after the reporting verb is the summary of the original passage that they've said. So the summary begins with the students perceived up until engaging. So that entire group of words is the summary, which this paragraph has taken from the original passage given by Abidin and Kabilan. You also have a date heading format. In the date heading format, of course, the year is identified first, or the time has been identified first. So there you have, in their 2004 study, so you have 2004 as the period or time. So you have a date heading format. In the process of doing summarization, you are also given the chance to use reporting verbs. You have there the list of reporting verbs particular to a respective area of specialization. Like when you use when you are in the field of biology, you can have describe up until observe. Like for instance, let's assume that Joyce is an authority in the field of biology because she's been studying life, how to break people's lives. So if someone were to cite Joyce, it would appear as Dolohol 2019 describes marine life as blah blah blah. The summary follows. Take note, the order there is from the most common to the least common, and then respective of a particular area of specialization, like in marketing, linguistics, sociology, philosophy. And you have generally used reporting verbs in the overall category from suggest up until report. This table is given so that you will not overuse. Remember when you did your PR2 research last school year, we would not want you to overuse the word state. The study of Vargas 2010 stated that. That's in one paragraph. Then in another paragraph, the study of Mamacos 2012 stated that. So in lieu of the word stated, you have an array of reporting verbs available for use. You can use words like suggest, show, explain, note, claim, point out, analyze, discuss, propose. So you have this list of reporting verbs. So comes your ST, feel free to maximize these reporting verbs. Do not limit yourselves with the common ones that you have just been aware of, like the word said and stated. There are still so many of them for use. Questions? Questions? During the ST, it's not necessary. Wait, let me check the ST. I will not assign the ST, of course. I just want to know how it looks like again. For the ST, wait, my Edmodo page is still loading up. I cannot share screen this page in Edmodo. Would you like to? Wait. This bird will be eaten by another big bird, or if not, it will be eaten by a snake. A Tweety bird. So it's like an interrupt EAP. Of different food chains in one food web. Depending on the arrow, shall you then refer to who is being eaten and who is being to eat. In your ST, there are 5 narratives. 5 narratives where it's not the kind where the summaries you'll create are not the kind where you have to do like a research summary. So you'll really just have a paragraph and the requirement is to summarize the paragraph. It even would want you to, let me look at the instructions. You are going to state the main idea of the passage and then you're going to provide a summary of each passage. I always wanted it to begin, intended it to begin with identifying the main idea of the passage because that's where it really starts. Read the text over and over again and get the main idea. By knowing what the main idea is, then you can now single out other significant statements that you can attach to that main idea, thereby creating a summary. One helpful tip, it should not be as long as the original text. That should be an obvious tip. It should not be as long as the original passage. Questions? Questions? I intentionally separated this lesson from direct quoting and paraphrasing because if I place this together with that lesson, so you can just imagine the bulk of things to be done in an ST. I think you can just imagine that you'll summarize, paraphrase, and directly quote at the same time in the ST. I placed paraphrasing and direct quoting together because they're expected to not probably have a lengthy work compared to that of a summary. Questions? Yes, Lex.
Sir, if mag-summarize ka, okay right?
In English, Lex.
Is it okay nga as long as ma-shorter na siya, sir? Even if same masyag kataas ka long sa original, basta lang, as long as ma-shorter na siya, kamay.
Important reminders, Lex. Shorter than the original passage. When we say it's shorter than the original passage, it does not, let's assume that the original passage is composed of 11 sentences. Again, let's assume that there are 11 sentences in the original passage. Wait, I'm erasing 10. 11 sentences in the original passage. Shortening it doesn't mean that you should oblige yourself to summarize the text into 2 sentences or 3 sentences. But to summarize it until the 10th sentence is quite insignificant from the length of the 11-sentence paragraph.
8 sentences, sir. Like
7, 6 sentences will do. And then be sure that the length of the sentences does not. This is also one helpful tip. I don't know why it's not here. The length of the sentences in that summary should not be longer than the length of the sentences in the original passage. So like if the longest sentence in the original passage is composed of 13 words, do not make a summary that is composed of more than that number of words. That's a helpful tip in summarizing. Questions? Other questions? Thank you for the questions, Lex. Other questions? I actually am recording it right now, so probably if I am able to upload this today, I'll post this in your There, I don't know, but there's probably one here that you'll find quite a long narrative. Probably I will start that in There's one here that you'll find to be quite a long narrative. Anyway, you have 1 hour for that ST on Saturday. No, on Monday of next week. See that 1 hour is plenty of time for 5 narratives to summarize.
We have class November 2, sir.
Oh my gosh. I cannot answer that one yet, especially that this session is recorded. If I answer that question, we just might earn a lot of views and reactions. Let's just wait for whatever the decision is of the school. Regardless, be it a holiday or not, you can still take the STs at home. You can still take the STs. Majoy, can you look at your left? Left. Please, Majoy.
No.
Research project. Research project.
You can just move the boxes, sir.
No, but I wish for Majoy to look at her left. Do we have some other questions?
Looking right because left, sure.
No, you're actually going to look at Nicole.
Why?
Because you are going to tell, the instruction is that you are telling Nicole to tell me something later in this finance.
Nico.
That's why I want you to look at your left. Or Crisel, look up, Crisel. Just look up. Like that, na? Don't look at the camera. Your eyes will have to really look up. Look up, but like that.
If the figures are not clearly
Oh, look at that. Oh.
just search on these names and then
Benjamin. Ito na yun, oh. If there are no more questions, I think I'm just glad that the ST for this one is more of an application type. So there's nothing to memorize here.